us.
So that was mean. I'm in a bad mood. That was mean.
Alright, we are...
I fucking hated this finale, guys.
Okay.
Sweating.
Did you say we're recording?
Yes.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Shared Screens Media Club, your one-stop shop on movies, video games, TV shows. It's kind of like a book club, except we deal with better content. Joining me today is Lear and Jazz.
Hi, sorry.
And the
I'm
end
just
of
really
Portal
fully
himself.
panicked.
Sitting at the end of Portal himself is Brett Jamerson, aka Jim Tasty.
Yo.
And back after taking some time for himself on the ones and twos, the man in the chair, Alec Bobko. How you been, bro?
Doing good. Got some time
That's
to get some other content. Watching a lot of Andor, getting on that show. So yeah.
I still gotta hop on that.
Oh, it's so
It's
good.
so
Dude,
good.
I know.
It's
I
so
just,
good.
I've been busy, but like, I think
It's
like
the Star Wars
it's time
everybody
now.
has been asking for.
Good.
Like, yeah.
And if people wanted to see reactions to the Star Wars everyone's been asking for, where could they go?
Go to youtube.com/shared screens, and this is the waypoint.
Wonderful. All right, so today we are doing a double episode discussion on She-Hulk's episode 8, Ribbit and Ribbit. Rip It and Ribbit. Or is it the other way around?
No, you got it right that time.
Perfect. And the finale, whose show is this? But before that, our episode 7 episode did get corrupted, so if we just want to give like a quick 30-second to 1-minute recap about how we felt about that episode. Who remembers which episode that was? Because I'm not gonna lie, I
I have
don't.
no fucking idea, dude.
Is
I
that
was about to say
the-
I have no opinion because I
The
don't
one
know
where
what
she went up
that was.
to,
Oh, is that the one
Emil?
where she spends the day at Emil's place?
I think.
Yeah.
Because I think that was after the wedding episode.
Oh man, now I am so mad.
Okay,
because
then I
that
have
one,
fucking
that one had some
comments.
great moments.
Then I have fucking comments about it.
Just remember one
Yeah,
moment.
it drives me fucking crazy. That episode is all over the place. We'll get into it with the finale, but the writers on this show could not decide how far they wanted to go, and it really bothered me. That is my complaint of the entire show, is that the writers could not decide how hard they wanted to lean into, like, the feminist aspect, I guess, of it. I don't like using that phrasing, but like I can't think of a better word. I've been trying to all day. They cannot decide how far they want to lean in to it, so they end up in some really fucking problematic places. Like,
Gotcha.
and it's not okay.
Brett, what did you think about the Emil episode?
I liked it. I thought it was awesome that they were able to pull, from the depths of the Marvel Comics canon. Seems like a great place to clear your head,
I will say, yes, I do love every one of those men that were in his group. They were all delights. They were fantastic characters. I would like to see more of them. I would like to drop Trevor in this mess with Morris and just get a
yeah.
spinoff that's just those guys we met, Trevor and Morris, just living on this compound.
Yeah, I remember the biggest thing we talked about that week was the we all want Emil Blonsky's really shitty motivational posters. Like, I really, really want a poster that just says "Today is today."
Today, Blonsky.
What about you, Alec? What did you think of that episode?
Most of the She-Hulk episodes, I enjoyed it. One of the reasons I haven't really been on these as often is just because I haven't had like too many thoughts to be on a podcast about it. It's just kind of like, oh, I liked it.
Yeah,
I love the
talked
part
about
where
butt cream.
we talked about.
yes,
You
I
don't
heard.
need to apologize.
A lot,
There was one week
couple
we had
episodes ago.
nothing to talk about, and we talked about butt cream for like 5 minutes or longer.
You guys can go watch that episode in our YouTube channel and just watch me and Brett discover live what butt cream is.
Yeah, it's great. It's not what you would think.
But
Anyway, we can start.
I was to say,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I love the moment with because they're all trying to get what was his name, Porcupine Man, to take his helmet off, and then he finally takes it off, and then he's just like, "Oh, what's that
Oh, no.
smell?"
Yeah.
Put it back on.
So, let's get into the penultimate episode, last week's episode, Rip It and Ribbit. The episode where we got the official appearance, finally, of Matt Murdock in the show, as well as the Frog character. What do we think about that episode? Leon, I know me and you watched this together because we got to visit each other, or I got to visit you, and we finally got to hang out in person.
For the first time since I've moved. Jordan and I have met before.
Yes.
To be clear, Jordan and I have met before. I did not invite a man I had never met before to my apartment. Like, we have met.
What? I do that all the time. What?
Oh my god, I had to explain to somebody over the weekend like what having online like what the Tumblr era was, and like having online friends that you've never actually met in person, and it's just not something they're like that's like a part of their life.
Oh, I've never
and
had
it
that
was so
till-
much fun.
I've never had that till this.
Yeah, this was great because it was somebody who had literally never had it, and I was explaining it to them, and they were like, "Oh," and I was like, "Yeah, it's really popular with girls our age because like you would meet mutuals on Tumblr, and like relationships would start." And he was just like, "Interesting." It's like, sorry. Yeah, we watched it together. I don't care about the entire episode. I could take it or leave it, but the part where Matt Murdock did the walk of shame and the caption just said
Yes.
humming
Humming.
was the funniest thing I've ever
Yes.
seen in my life. No notes. Literally, the entire episode, I thought it was great just because of that scene. Like, that was a gift. I'm not even one of those girls that's like horny for Matt Murdock. I could take it or leave it. It's just like so.
It's
Just the humming.
Yeah, our friend Victoria had to pause the show because me and Leon were laughing so
So
hard because
funny.
she's never watched the Netflix shows. We have, so we have the relationship with Matt Murdock. I think it was fucking hilarious because that is something he has to do every time he bangs in the Daredevil suit, but we just never see the camera show
It's not
that.
even the walk of shame though. It's just the humming. And I went
Oh,
back
yeah.
and listened to it, and he's not humming loudly. He's truly just like humming to himself and nothing specific. It literally just looks like and sounds like they went, "Hey, we just literally need you to walk across this part, like doing whatever." And he's just like humming to himself. And it's
Also,
so
the holding
funny.
of the shoes.
Yeah.
Okay, I could have done without that just because like girls do not do that. We do not hold our shoes because we want to make the walk barefoot. It's that we're in heels. So we don't want to put our heels back on because our feet hurt from the night out. He could have worn the boots home. Walking
Yep.
through the streets of LA barefoot is gross, and he could have put the boots on and wore them home. Like,
Gotcha.
it's not like he was breaking like his identity by wearing the boots. Like, everyone knows.
Alec, what did you think of the Matt Murdock introduction and the Matt Murdock aspect of that episode?
Oh, I loved it. Like starting it off with the court or in court, having him there was so cool. Having that back and forth between them, and then one of the scenes like back when they're at what was it, the lily pad, that hideout.
Yeah.
They
God bless.
I thought we were gonna get another hallway fight scene, and like I knew they were gonna have She-Hulk like bust through the wall or whatever. But like there's still a little shred of hope that we were gonna get another hallway.
It
fight
was
scene.
funny seeing the contrast, like back and forth as to how he fights and how she fights, and they kind of teased a hallway thing with like the way he beat down those first few, and like how it worked.
But they
out
literally
that
had a
he's
shot of him at one end and then them at the other, and then they like ramped up the music, and then she
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
smashes
they got
through the roof.
ready.
No,
They got
they
ready
know
and
they
the
knew what they
shooters
were doing.
bust.
It honestly, it kind of reminds me of how I played through like the Arkham games and the Spider-Man games, where it's like I'm stealth for the main guys, and after that, it's just I'm fucking.
Oh, yeah.
You know I'm there, and you're gonna have a bad day because of it.
The one thing I will throw out though, like I felt like the argument about how to do it was unnecessary because due to some very particular things about Matt and some very particular things about Jennifer, they have to fight differently. They can't fight the
Yeah.
same. It's not physically possible.
Most
She's
superheroes,
a 9
yeah.
foot, 10-foot Hulk. He is a blind man. They fundamentally
Yeah.
have to fight differently. Like,
But then-
because and she has
yeah.
impenetrable skin. Matt can still get stabbed. Matt
Yeah.
bleeds. Like,
He bleeds.
I
a lot.
also like the discussion they had about the henchmen versus goons.
Yeah, it was what goons are there for the paycheck, henchmen care for the cause, or
Yes.
was it reversed?
no, it was that. Goons are there for the paycheck, and they're usually dumb. He didn't say that, but he implied it. Henchmen are there for the cause. They believe in what they're doing. For more about henchmen versus goons, listen to the last podcast on the left. They get in that fight constantly about what a
Love it.
henchman is and what a goon is.
I honestly love that. I've been listening to them a lot this week since Kind of Funny's been off.
I highly recommend them to everybody. They're great.
Yeah.
They're a great bright spot in a shitty world right now.
No, him being introduced in court was like the best way it could have happened. I also liked he was defending Alfonso. But I'm kind of over Alfonso. Yeah, Leon.
I'd like to point out I fucking called it. Only to Jordan. There is physically no proof that I said this was how Matt Murdock was going to get introduced, that they were going to be on opposite sides of courtroom drama, and Matt Murdock was going to have a whole conversation with her.
That I
Did
think
I?
you've said out loud. The one you only told me was that you think he's going to approach Jessica personally and be like, hey, I just had to deal with this fucking Spider-Man guy. I don't think I should be public, but you're public. We need a lawyer for superheroes. Like, we
Honestly,
need what
I'm
you're
still
doing.
surprised that wasn't the final end credit scene, but like whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Brett, what did you think about Matt's introduction into the Disney Plus side of the MCU? Back on TV where he belongs.
I thought it was great. I think I appreciated the humor of the character in the episode. I thought his outfit looked awesome. I like you guys said, I love the like the differences, like the dichotomy of these two heroes that are fundamentally very different, and how they have to like work together. I love seeing his legal prowess, all that good stuff, and yeah, I'm glad. I think the connection, the relationship between the two characters was awesome, and
Yeah.
we'll talk about it in the finale too. But like, I kind of want them to become like a permanent thing now, because I just think they work so well together on every front.
I thought it was gonna end with him being like, yo, you have nothing here really anymore. I mean, you have Nikki and Pug, but like they can move.
And her family.
You don't need to live that close to family. Like,
She didn't get her job back, right? Even though she got cleared of charge.
well, they don't show that she's back with that law firm specifically. She is practicing law again. We don't know the specifics of it. I really thought it was going to end with her going
to New York.
To New York with Matt, when her dad was like, I hear you have your own practice. Sidebar, I would die for her father.
Yes.
We'll talk about it more in the finale, but I would die for him.
Lovely guy.
This is a tangent, but I don't know if I can't remember if it was episode 8. I think it was episode 8 when they talked about the Sokovia Accords being like dissolved.
That was Matt
saying
that.
Yeah, which I'm glad we finally got confirmation, because like there's been superheroes left and right and nobody's really said or done anything. But looks like a win for Team Cap. Sorry, Tony Stank.
I was just gonna throw out there though, I feel like after the blip, it's kind of like, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares what they do? Honestly, who gives a shit? Like, I truly would leave the blip and be like, life is meaningless. Like, who gives a shit? I don't care.
Here's what happened. The Secretary of State, Thunderbolt Ross, went, well, you guys have to follow the Accords. And Steve said the thing he said in Infinity War. He's like, I'm not asking for permission, and I don't care about asking for forgiveness. Hangs up. About 10 hours later, half the fucking population snapped. So he's like, well, fuck this. They all come back.
Cares?
Yeah.
But it's like really at that point, it's like, I don't know, the blip just happened. Martial law definitely got declared in a lot of places. There was definitely a lot of bad shit going on for like the first 6 months. So I feel like at that place, they'd be like, honestly, I don't care. As long as you're a superhero and you're going to be helpful, come on down. I don't give a shit.
Yep.
Like, I don't care what you do. Just get over here.
Not even superhero. Just like, if you're kind of... if you have power. No, I just mean like if you have powers, like if you've used them for evil in the past.
If you're just a really smart doctor, like just like come hang. Like
I was talking more like a
dude.
I was more like a if these people existed in the MCU, if there's like, hey, listen, Magneto, Doctor Doom, we can let you off with a few things if you help. Like just we need anything we can get right now.
I would argue Magneto, yes, we could let him off with a few things. I feel like Doctor Doom, we can't. Where I was going with a very smart doctor thing, I mean like Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
A child is being murdered outside my apartment. Jesus Christ. Did you guys hear that?
No.
Oh my god, a child just screamed bloody murder.
Good. Other than that, for that episode, I really liked her and Matt arguing law, or just discussing like what would be the best route to take for a case while fighting the guys.
Oh yeah. Yep.
The lily pad being the name of his hideout that he got written in neon pink lights makes that look and sound like a strip club.
Oh, it's also some DC bullshit, and I love it. Like his entire storyline, that is some D tier Batman villain
Oh, yeah.
bullshit, and
Yeah.
I
Well,
live for
He's
that.
kind of
crap.
already kind of like a Batman parody because it's his whole thing's that he has the powers himself, or he
Batman's not
made
a
the suit
fucking
himself.
moron who just,
No, I just meant more that I'm rich, so I'm gonna do this thing. Bruce is smart enough to pull it off.
I'm just saying, like, there are a lot of D-list DC villains that are just rich guys
Yeah.
that are like, I want to be weird and like, or I want to be a superhero, and Bruce has to be like, please go away. Like, just
Honestly-
please, I will slip you anything. You just leave. Go be
Honestly,
a Flash
though,
villain.
Frogman better than Batman, honestly. If I had to be real.
The jet fuel thing. Okay, also, when he was like, oh, he fills his boots with jet fuel, I was like, that would have killed the man. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you guys could have picked a more aggressive accelerant that was not jet fuel.
Jet fuel can't melt steam
Don't
beams.
do it, Jordan. Do not do it.
So back to the costume thing in the case. It was a good case where they were discussing that whole thing. He was very stupid, so I like that they kind of came back to it. I want to talk about Alfonso for a second because this dude has no right to be this cocky.
Okay, can I bitch for a second?
Go
It's
ahead.
about this. I'm going to bitch about this now because this is my entire issue with the show. The entire writing aspect for this show seemed to be, well, if we say this is the way it is, the audience will just accept it. Like, they were like, Alfonso is this big designer for all these superheroes. And they kind of did nothing with it. It was just kind of like, no, we're saying it, so it's factual. And it's like, okay, but if he's going to be this much of a dill hole, you have to give me a reason
No.
as to why. Because this just feels like an Edna Mode ripoff.
Yeah,
It really just feels like somebody went, remember the little lady in Incredibles? Let's make her, but make it like a weird stereotype black man. Like, and just make him an ass.
Yeah. And
Do you mean Luke?
no.
No, Alfonso.
His name's Luke in the show.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't fucking know that. Isn't his last name Alfonso?
No.
No, Jacobson.
Oh,
Luke Jacobson?
Yeah.
that's
I
an
think it
even
was like
dumber
a-
name.
Why did I think his name was like Alfonso? Or are you guys sure?
I didn't.
I'm
His
positive.
first
I
name
was
is
so
Luke.
confused.
I remember the character. The
I'll bet
character
you
poster.
$10 billion right now, dude.
Dude, Jordan doesn't have that. Although, never mind.
I barely have $10.
Relax.
$10.
Luke.
His name is absolutely Luke. I thought his last name was Alfonso because Jordan just kept saying it was Alfonso. And when we watched the episode together last week, he just kept calling him Alfonso. And so, like, I was
That
like,
is
oh,
my-
Jordan is saying it with such conviction. It has to be right, right?
This is listen, I might have died last week on a ride and came into the universe where I'm still alive, and this is like the Berenstein Bears thing. This is the Mandela effect. I could have
Died on fucking you went on fucking Tower of Terror, and instead of the Guardians ride, you
Listen.
actually went into another dimension.
an hour ago. Bullet to my head. They would have been like, name the costume designer. I would have looked that fucking bullet in the eye and said, it's Alfonso, and then I would have died.
And Jordan just said it with such conviction that I was like, yeah, Jordan probably looked this up. That was my mistake.
Oops.
That's on me.
Anywho, they've never given us a reason why he's famous, because don't even think about the real world.
Brett was talking about Luke Cage. I was about to be like, did I miss something in the episode?
Anyway, like, the biggest hero we as the audience have seen him make a costume for is Daredevil. And that means nothing in the world of the MCU because the only people that know about Daredevil are like the people of Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah.
When you think about the ones that, if you think about the superheroes that everybody in the Marvel universe knows, none of them have ever indicated that they got their costume from him. Tony built his suits. Caps were probably funded by S.H.I.E.L.D. Spider-Man built his suits using Tony's tech. Thor has Asgardian H&M to wear. Like, you've made, like, as far as the world is concerned, you've never made anything for anyone important. So his cockiness always bothered me.
Well, that's, yeah, you see that when she says she's an Avenger, and he, like, jumps at the bit to design
You
something.
probably think that's his end to get to get to that level. Yeah.
Yeah.
But still,
It
everybody
just was
else
not
hypes him
executed
up.
well. Even if it was, he
Yeah.
was being cocky because some jobs are like, I'm not saying all chefs, but most chefs can be fucking cocky bitch boys. Like, it's the type of people that the job attracts. Some people are just cocky, but like, you need to make it clear, oh, he is acting much bigger than he actually is, or you have to pick one.
You know what I honestly would have been totally okay with, and I'm just gonna hope this doesn't start a spiral? If they just gave a line where he was like, I'm the one who invented the new Captain America's uniform, I would have accepted it.
Yeah, but we know that's not who made it. They tell us in
Yeah,
the
it says
show who
Wakanda.
made it. There is not a single character that we do
No,
not know where their
I
costume
don't mean,
came from.
sorry, I don't mean, I meant, John Walker, like the
You
one that.
whore, he is not Captain America. Why would you
No, but
give that to Brett? Why would you
worded it
give
like
that
Like
to
if he
Brett?
worded it like that, like when
Why
the
would
U.S.
you
government,
give
when the
that
U.S.
to
government
Brett?
was like,
Why would you do that? Why would you give him this? Because remember when I said I like him as a villain and Brett took that as I liked him and he tweeted it at me for 2 months afterwards? That's the world you've just opened up for
Sorry.
yourself.
I meant to say, like,
And how dare you? This is why Sam Wilson didn't look at you when he said, "Hey, Cap." He knew you were not a true believer. That is why he did not respond to you.
I should have worded that better, but I feel like you get what I'm saying. If he was like, I'm the one who made the U.S.
It's
government's
like-
new puppets costume, like if they did it that way, I would have totally accepted that. Even if he made fucking Battlestar Galactica's suit, I would have been okay with that.
Let's assume it's like the presidency where you just refer to past presidents as president,
Yeah.
you know. So
President Bush
Yeah,
is
but
still
you
an
wouldn't
acceptable
call-
term.
Yeah, but you wouldn't call somebody who was given it by a false group. I don't even like Captain America, and you're making me defend his fucking ideology. Are you kidding me?
I'm
Like,
sorry.
Jesus Christ.
That's
don't
how
even
I
like
win.
The damn character.
Okay,
I
we-
do love Sam Wilson. I will probably like Captain America moving forward. It's just Steve Rogers that makes me want to jump
Anyway,
off a roof.
you get
That's
what
how
I'm
I win.
saying. If he had gotten the contract as big as John Walker, I would have been like, sure, this guy thinks he has reason. Like, I would have accepted that. They gave us no reason other than Daredevil's helmet in a box.
And
I
why?
think that's all I needed, though. I didn't need his whole
But
life
like,
story.
why was Matt paying this man a bunch of money? This man who lives in California, who does not live in New York, paying this man a bunch of money to make him a new suit. What?
I'm assuming the guy who made his other suits got blipped.
Yeah, but they've been brought back.
Yeah, but then, it's like if your local Price Chopper closes and you start going to ShopRite, and then 20
But
years
how
later,
many years
the
has
Price
it been
Chopper-
since the blip? Like, the guy would be
But the
reestablished
thing is,
by now.
he just got back, and
But he
got-
didn't just get back. That's not where we are in the timeline.
Matt switched. Matt has a backup.
But
I don't know.
in LA, like, that's the thing. This is the thing with the entire show. The entire show does not make sense. They establish a bunch of things and then do nothing with them, and it's infuriating.
All right. Do we have any other thoughts on the Frog Boy episode?
I love him. I want to see more of him. He is a gift.
You do?
He's so funny.
I
He's
thought you
so
fucking
funny.
hate him.
He brings me such I'm gonna say I love shitty white boys and watching them get their asses handed to them. It brings me so much joy.
You like watching him the way people like watching Jackass, like.
I like watching him get put down. It's very similar to their DC characters that none of they think they are big enough for like Batman, Superman, and Flash and Wonder Woman to handle. And my favorite comic panels are when I don't remember who it is, but there's one that like tries to fuck up Batman. He's like, "You never paid attention to me." And Batman's like, "I literally don't know who you are." Guys, he basically is like, I have literally fought people that lock civilians in a labyrinth and release gas that makes them crazy. I have no idea what you are doing.
It reminds me. Frog Boy kind of reminds me of like the box ghost from Danny Phantom.
Yeah, and I love the box ghost from Danny Phantom.
Same. And one of my favorite Danny Phantom moments is when he's about to go on vacation for and he's like, I legitimately want to relax. And they're going through the database of all the ghosts, being like, they're in the ghost zone, they're in the ghost zone. And then it goes, box ghost. And the three of them just go, who cares? That is going to take 5 minutes at the most to take care of.
Yeah, and I love it. I love characters like that. They bring me such joy. I love stupid people. Is really what this comes down to.
Thumbs
to
up.
know.
Thumbs up this video for fail sons. Okay, we don't support them enough.
You good, Brett?
Yeah,
Okay.
Who?
I think he said failed sons.
fail
Oh.
son. Look it up. It's a term.
Okay. I believe you. I just didn't know what it was, and I want to make sure I
Gotcha.
heard you correctly.
So, Alec, any final thoughts on the penultimate episode?
Not really any further thoughts. I liked it. So yeah, set up
Yeah.
an interesting finale. Oh, shout out to the part where kind of like the fourth wall break of like, oh, this episode's still going.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just shout out to that whole part.
Gotcha.
Before, yeah, the setup for the finale.
So, we can now go into the finale, and I feel like this is going to be a mixed bag. I'll start off with how I feel about it, and then we'll go around. I like the concept and hate the execution of what this did. I want to leave it at that because I kind of want to get everyone's main thoughts, and then I kind of want us to go point by point because me personally, this episode was like a roller coaster for me in terms of like what were they even trying to do, not in terms of like the plot.
I'm gonna say this now, and I feel like Alec might have the same feeling. I do not have enough to say about this episode to go point by point. For the entire
I thought
finale,
you'd
I
hate
have
it
6
so-
notes.
I thought
I
you
hate
hated
it
so much
but I
that you
can
had so
sum it
much
up.
to say.
No, I can sum it up in a very quick sentence
Okay.
when we get towards the end.
Brett, what did you think about the finale?
I liked it. I thought. I know we had talked about in weeks past the issue of like where was the show going, who's the main villain, and all that jazz. And I know you guys have some issues with it, but I thought that they were able to navigate a lot of that by having commentary on, feminism, like the mass media Marvel stuff, CGI, all that stuff. So I thought it worked for me, and I love how they threw in like Scar and all that stuff just to like give us those threads for a Hulk movie, which I'm actually really excited about if that actually comes to fruition. And so yeah, I liked it. I liked it.
Alec, what about you? How'd you feel about the finale?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Liked the. I don't say it was. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because again, it was all over the place. Like they said, like they tried to. They had so many threads coming together. And like, Todd's the big villain. Really?
Yeah.
Like,
okay, so
that's where we're going.
Wait, really quick, can we please clip out the cogs turning in Alex's head as he tried to decide whether or not he liked this?
I mean,
Because
I
that was
enjoyed it,
legitimately
but it's
great.
just
That was legitimately great. No, but we could just see the wheels of you going like, what do I really think here? And I really enjoy it.
No,
because
so-
I liked the part of like talking to her, literally like sitting on the ground, like feet up, talking to Kevin. It's like I enjoyed that part, but
So-
I don't know, just the way to
Give out the
lead up-
X-Men.
yeah.
The lead up
So-
to it is kind of yeah.
So the only thing I knew about this episode going in was that Mark Ruffalo had spoiled it, and I managed to avoid that.
I'm so mad at him.
And then Leanne texted me a very strong opinion saying this is the worst 30 minutes of television I've ever seen.
I then quickly corrected that because I am aware that that is not true and that it was just immediate like frustration. I did correct that immediately. I
Yes.
also followed up the text with "Pour one out for Little Italy leaving Netflix today."
You want to tell them what I replied with?
He sent a bottle of pouring out marinara sauce, and I thought it was very funny.
Okay. So, knowing that, I thought that there was going to be some giant moment in this episode that just was such a bad choice, such
There
a shitty
wasn't
decision.
that didn't exist for you. If you say that
No,
didn't
no,
exist
no,
for
no,
you,
no,
I'm
no.
going to explode.
Please let me finish. And so I kept trying to figure out what it was. And so when I'm talking about the duration of the episode, like until I got there. when first the fact that she was in the raft for destroying property was like, okay, that's a little dumb.
That was
'Cause
the
they-
raft.
they've
That was
said-
just the prison that Emil was in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not all on the raft. They're just in
Oh.
a maximum security prison.
Well, it's still like the superhero type prison. I was like,
Mhm.
and they've done stuff before.
Well, yeah,
like
she's
She's
a
a
Hulk.
Raft, though.
Yeah, but
That's
they've done
just
stuff.
a prison.
Yeah, they've done other stuff where like the superpowered people, like they're like, oh, they didn't do enough to get into the raft. But either way, so Nikki turns her phone, and we see the douche from the other law firm, and I was like, yo, is he the mastermind behind all this? Like, he was the douche from the beginning. He's the one that is fucking Hulk King and all this stuff. Didn't happen. We then see Nikki uploading the video, and I'm like, this better not be the fucking choice. She better not be the villain. So what I'm saying is, like, I'm watching this, assuming everything's going to become a super bad choice.
For a very short drink of water. Come on.
Okay. Then I saw Todd, and I went through the exact same process as Nikki did. She was like, "Wait," and she was like, "No, actually, no, that adds up. Like, it really fucking adds up." And then there was like, I feel like another fake out with Emil. Like, is he part of this? Was this his anti-Jen Walters cult the whole time? Like, oh no, he doesn't even know the group he's talking to. He's just being fakely motivational. Also, side note, I also want the book called Bad IQs that she was
Yeah.
reading. And then I reached for my remote thinking I sat on it. Did anyone else do that?
Like I didn't,
I
because I was watching on my phone, so I'm like, it's just one of those, like, for like the splittest of split seconds, I thought there was something, but then I heard the sound. It's like, okay, no,
It
Yeah.
doesn't load that fast.
No, I was
Exactly.
like, and then
And
I
it
was like,
shows
that's
you the
not what it
Marvel
looks
logo
like.
beforehand. It is what it looks like, but it does not load that fast because whenever you click back to that Marvel page, it plays the Marvel logo, and
That's-
then the thing opens.
Yeah.
And could you tell that it was in shit quality? It looked
yeah.
terrible.
Took me a couple seconds. Okay,
it didn't look terrible to me, but
Oh my god, it was so bad. I was watching it on my new gaming console because I was watching it on my lunch break, and like, it was bad. It looked rough. Like, it was not the best design I've ever seen. But I also don't want to shit on them because we do know like what the visual effects team went through for this show. So I
So-
also don't mean to shit on them.
Yeah. And then the thing happened where she's literally climbing through Disney Plus and going into Marvel Studios, and I was like,
going to assemble.
interesting. But then I will say honestly, I stopped myself and went, I can't say shit because I love the Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe comic, and that one ends with him coming out of the comic
same.
to kill the
It's
writers.
not the same.
There's also a comic where I think it's Mr. Fantastic and I forget who else are basically jumping through realities and accidentally jump through to ours and have to be like talked back into the comic or something like that. I'm describing it wrong. Marvel has
Yeah,
done
you're
stuff
really
like
describing that one wrong.
but Marvel has done stuff like this in the comics before where the characters literally speak to the
And
writers.
She-Hulk.
In the comics, it is so. Do you know all I could think about? Well, I cannot find the title. I've been trying to search it for like 20 minutes. When we were kids, we were like young. This was supposed to be the original ending to Fairly Odd Parents. It was that television
Yes,
movie that they
it was-
bounce all through. I was like, oh, sick. I'm watching this again. I've watched that movie since being a child, and it does not hold up.
No, that's not the one where they're that's not Channeled Surfers. That's another
Whatever
movie.
one they like go hopping through.
Yes, and the evil Crimson
They end up in
Chin-
the bayou.
Yeah.
There's one scene where they end up in the bayou. That's all I remember.
It's when the evil Crimson Chin takes the guy who writes the Crimson Chin.
Alec, it's really offensive how poorly that bayou scene is written. It's incredibly offensive.
I do
It's
remember
so
the
bad.
evil Crimson Chin part. I think so. I'm
Yes.
sure I've seen this.
And I remember laughing at it as a kid because the dorky comic book artist guy that they hired is like, Mom, I'm going out. And his mom's like, don't come back unless you bring me grandchildren. I remember the scene you're talking about.
Yeah, highly recommend. Do not watch it. It does not hold up. It does not hold up. It's not funny. God, that scene was so stupid. It went on for fucking ever. I
Okay,
skipped
yes.
90% of it.
Then Why would you do that? Because now you don't know why we dislike it.
Because it was stupid as fuck. I was clicking ahead. I was just clicking the 15-second thing and I would watch it and then the camera came down and I was like, this is literally the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. At this point, my coworker who had not watched the episode yet knew I was watching it, so it's not my fault. He came over and he's looking at it and he was like, what is this? I was like, this is the episode this week. And he was like, this is the opening to The Assembled. They released it today. I was like, no, this is the opening. This is in the show and had to it's so bad. It's so dumb.
See, I don't hate the idea, again, because it's not something that they've never done before. I don't like that they used it in this show to basically admit that they had a bunch of plot lines that couldn't work and they didn't have an ending for, and then to kind of be like, well, let's change that. Because
you don't
anytime in the comics they've done the thing where they're now with the writers, they've never used that as a retcon. It's much more tongue-in-cheek than actually important. Yeah.
I'm gonna get screenwritery here for a second. The biggest piece of advice I was given by every professor I had when I was getting my master's was you cannot put something in your script that you don't know how to fix and then reference the fact that you don't know how to fix it as a joke and think that that's funny. It's not, and it just shows that you didn't have a plan. And what this showed me was that they did not have a plan. They had a bunch of things that they wanted to do. They do not know if they're getting a second season, and they went, so let's cram everything into one season of this show as physically possible, which would have worked if their episodes were longer.
Yes.
Second thing, in the comics, this is fundamentally true. There are certain things that work in comics that only work in comics. Certain things that work in television that only work in television. There are certain things that work in video games that only work in video games, and they do not carry over. Breaking the fourth wall in television is incredibly difficult because it can come off incredibly like Saved by the Bell, like timeout, makes no sense, nobody really gets what's happening.
We need a She-Hulk very special episode about drugs.
Oh my god. It's just messy. Like at the end of the day, it's just messy.
Them making the fourth wall break, the tongue-in-cheek ex machina to fix all this stuff was very I didn't like. And then she's when she's one calling him Kevin, objectively funny. Finding out it was a robot later on, and that's Brett's reference for people who haven't gotten it yet. 50-50 on that one. But when she's talking to the Kevin robot, there's a few things that rub me the wrong way. One is when she says something about like not everything has to have plot in it. That is
that's fundamentally incorrect.
No,
that is fundamentally not correct.
And so I'm with you. I get being like not every MCU project needs to be the most important next chapter of the MCU. But your show still needs to have a plot. And I don't like the idea they're making that the show can't be serialized and also not have an overarching plot. Because you can do both.
It's literally how 80s and 90s sitcoms ran. And once we got into sitcoms in the 2000s, like workplace comedies, like they want to try and pretend that there were overarching plots. I hate to use The Office as the go-to, so I'm going to use Abbott Elementary. I don't know if all of you watch it, but it's a workplace comedy. It just kind of, is what it is. It's phenomenal. It's better than The Office and Parks. I highly recommend everybody watch it. So, Brett, don't make that face. Sweet Baby Jesus and the Grown One too. My desks have been desked is one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life. I have watched the clip of her throwing the door open and yelling that like a million. It's so funny. Anyways, in it, you have the plot of each episode. Each episode has its own plot. But in season 1, there is an overarching plot about one of the characters blackmailing the superintendent. There is an overarching plot of Janine needing to leave her, not toxic, but just kind of juvenile. Like she has grown beyond the relationship and she has not accepted that she needs to leave yet. And that's going overarching. Gregory just learning to be human is the overarching plot of the entire show. We just watch him discover emotion. there is an overarching plot that carries from episode to episode while the show is still serialized, and desking only happens in one episode. Gritty is only in one episode. Like,
and you're referencing a show that is like universally very good, loved. The writing situation. I'll even use a shitty sitcom as a fucking example. Even The Big Bang Theory had plot progression throughout the series. Like,
yeah.
And
like,
the other example I want to give, just because it's more of a superhero comparison than a sitcom comparison, season 1 of Young Justice, like, keeps having moments. Like, if you ever watch that, it's a 26 episode run.
Season 4 of Young Justice is a perfect example.
I'm gonna use season one as an example because season 4 cheats by doing everything in arcs. Season 1, you have episodes that feel like filler, and at the very end, they show you how it links to the thing. And the last few episodes wrapped it up. And I'm going to let Brett and Alec talk soon, I promise. But I know the past few weeks, our biggest concern has been, how do they plan on wrapping all this up with 2 episodes left, 3 episodes left, and each of those episodes being 30 minutes? And it being, we can do it this way joke doesn't sit right with me. I also don't like jokes about the CGI when we know that Marvel has made their CGI people have to crunch, and that's resulted in poorer quality work, and you are allowed to be a fan of the MCU and acknowledge that. I play Naughty Dog games, and yet Naughty Dog used to have really bad crunch in their studios.
I love that you say naughty.
Sorry, I don't know why I did like that.
Naughty? It's only when you're saying Naughty Dog, you always go Naughty Dog. And it's so funny. It's so to learn Premiere Pro better. I've been editing like compilations of our videos, like taking things out. So I've been listening to them a lot. And it's only when you say Naughty Dog, you go naughty. And it's very funny to me.
Not sure why. But that's kind of my rant where I feel like that's why I say I liked the concept and I hated the execution, because I feel like her going into the writer's room could have worked if it wasn't used as a fix it for everything wrong with the fact that the show didn't have an ending. But
can I rant
Alec
about
and Brett
for a second?
You want to? Could we let them talk for a bit and then?
That's fine, but I'm going to say I'm going to disagree with a lot of things on the feminism thing, and like.
No, and of course, and like we're here to learn. We're here to be educated.
I have issues.
Okay.
Well, let's just get into that now. Just.
You want to get into the feminism now? You have nothing to say on the Kevin thing?
I mean. That's been one of my problems with this show is that it's like, hey, here's 99.9% sitcom. Then like, oh, here's the last minute of what we need to progress the plot. It's like, it just hasn't worked. It didn't work for me this entire season. So while that writer's room, like the breaking the fourth wall bit was entertaining, it didn't quite land where it went for me, because this whole season or this whole series so far just didn't. Yeah, like I said, they didn't know where to go, and they used this bad bit at the end to show where to basically make it fit in the MCU. And it's like they did that.
Sorry.
I was just saying, to me, it's like they slam that last bit at the end with Hulk coming back. Like literally, when she's with Kevin, he literally says, "Oh yeah, nope, we're not bringing Hulk back." And then at the end, they bring Hulk back. Like,
well, that wasn't in the episode. That was the post-credit scene.
It's in the episode. He jumps through the ceiling, like 30 seconds before she jumps out into Disney Plus. He smashes through the ceiling for no fucking reason.
But then,
I'm
saying at the family cookout, picnic. He's there.
Yeah.
That's where
I know.
we get the son.
And that's why Jordan's like, but Jordan was like, that was a post-credit. It wasn't. He's also in the show.
Yeah, but that was the hope. She was trying to reverse the fact that he popped in but whatever.
Yeah, I looked at the Hulk thing at the end as like the Kevin program thing, still inserting that into the show. Like even after she had the confrontation with him, whatever. But I mean, my whole question, and obviously it's easier said than done, but like, what would you guys would have wanted other than, because the way I approached this show was like this like fun little like snack, as opposed to like a WandaVision or Falcon Winter Soldier that had these like huge implications on a lot of fan favorite characters. Whereas She-Hulk, nobody, she didn't have a huge fan base before this. I'm sure she has a bigger fan base now. Um,
Big fan base.
I didn't know anybody that liked She-Hulk before this.
I know a lot. I don't mean to be mean when I say these, but are you thinking of men? Because I know a lot of women that were into She-Hulk because she's sick, she's dope, and she's dope in the show. Like, I'm not shit. Again, to be clear, nothing we have said is anything against Tatiana.
Oh yeah.
What's her nuts? I can't think of her last name.
Maslany.
The crap that
Alfonso.
she is getting, Alfonso, the crap that she is getting online is disgusting.
Oh yeah.
And none of the shit I talk towards the writers, none of that is towards her. I just want to make that abundantly clear because the crap that people have been throwing at her is absolutely fucking disgusting. The shit that's being thrown at the girl playing Nikki is gross. It's all nasty. None of this is towards them. Because actors are handed scripts and they do what they want to do. Like, they do what the writers tell them to do because that's how, like, life works. None of it is at them. I don't think any of them are bad people for doing the show. I mean, if anybody's ever seen The Terminator with Christian Bale, you know, sometimes actors make bad calls. But, like, I'm also tired of Marvel being like, well, they didn't have a fan following before we put them in the MCU. They do. It's just not your loud fan following.
Every comic book character ever has someone out there who likes them as a character. Because I saw a thing online where somebody's like, my friend is genuinely, unironically, a fan of Morbius in the comics, and now one of his favorite character who he has found very compelling and like a gray character is a fucking meme, and he has to live with that.
I know. I feel bad for all the Morbius fans because he is cool in the comics. He's got some cool storylines, like with Blade and Moon Knight. Like, he legitimately is a very good character. They just cast fucking Jared Leto, and I don't know who wrote that script.
Yeah, and you know, it's Morbin time.
But
Yeah.
what I meant by that was, like, even before, like, the movies were coming out, like, you would still see people rocking a Captain America t-shirt or a Spider-Man t-shirt or whatever, or even... Go ahead.
I wouldn't compare Spider-Man and Cap. Jordan and I have had this conversation before where Spider-Man, I would argue that Spider-Man is one of the top 3 most iconic superheroes.
In terms of, if you're just talking money, Spider-Man is like the most profitable hero. He has been on merchandise for fucking ever. Literally,
and
mainly
just like
within everyone knows him. We've had 3 different iterations of him, so like...
We all know Uncle Ben gets shot, you know,
Yeah.
like everybody's got the legit, like... You guys can argue this. Jordan and I have said before that we would argue the 3 most recognizable superheroes are Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man. And then maybe Wolverine. But I don't know how modern that is because, like, I wasn't cognizant in 1997.
No, I agree. And I would also argue that, like, Spider-Man is basically Marvel's mascot.
Yeah. For a very long time, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, before the MCU, the Avengers were, like, a B-list group made up of C-list characters that people only cared about.
Nobody cares about them. Nobody cared about them before the MCU. Like, that is why Universal owns the theme park rights to them and I don't know why they got Doctor Doom. That was a poor choice on fucking
Fantastic Four.
So Fantastic Four is also very, I don't know how recognizable they are nowadays, but the reason why they were one of the properties that got bought when they bought Spider-Man and the X-Men was because they were also the bigger characters.
No, I get the Spider-Man and X-Men one. I don't fully get the Fantastic Four, but again, that might be because I wasn't alive in the 80s. I don't know what was really
I don't know.
in the
They didn't
80s.
really have media for them, but as far as the comic selling were, those were their top 3. It was like Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four.
But the reason the Avengers are in that park, Captain America and his whole little like squad, it's a little different than like what the Avengers in the MCU are, but like the reason Captain America is there is because Marvel straight up was like, will you take this character? We will put in the contract that he is associated with Spider-Man and you can have him because we don't know what to do with him and we need more people to read his comics. And like,
then some dude saw just another teen movie and went, fuck
that guy, that one, I want him. He will be America's ass, or I will die trying.
That man, Albert Einstein.
I guess bringing it back to this episode, like I still enjoyed this, or this show. I still enjoyed this series for what it was, but it's like make it simple it down.
Okay,
Like, or
so
keep it simple. Like, don't
Keep
have
it
all
simple,
these
stupid.
overarching plots. Exactly. Like,
well, Alec, that's actually a question I was going to bring up at the end, but I said let's do this, and then we could get into the feminism discussion.
It's also going to involve Pug, just because I love him.
That's fine. A lot of people on Twitter over the past few weeks have a thing I've seen. I'm not going to say it was the most popular opinion, but it's opinion that is out there. Have been like, I like that it's like this because if it falls apart at the end, I can still enjoy the other episodes. Because people have just been like, yeah, the Disney Plus shows fall apart at the end. And this one went, we do, but we'll make it funny. So does the finale being like the one of the lesser episodes of the series of the season ruin the series for you? That goes for all of you guys. Like, do you dislike the rest of the show now, seeing how it's all played out?
No, I mean, getting to know this version of Jen Walters was awesome. Getting the connection to Daredevil, you know, I know he was in Spider-Man, but like, you know, actually seeing the Daredevil part of the character shine was awesome. And then we got the little Hulk and Scar nugget at the end there, which I'm very excited about. So I think it was an overall win.
I keep thinking you're talking about The Lion King. Every time you say Scar, I'm like, where the fuck was Scar in this?
Bro, Scar, man, he had some good ideas.
The lion or Hulk's son? I don't know a lot about Hulk's son, so I truly don't know what you mean.
Both.
Okay.
But yeah, how did you guys feel about the rest of the series now?
like I said, I've been enjoying it. Like, it's just been those good, like, to watch on my lunch break, just a nice little bright spot in the day, nice little positivity, get some laughs in, and it's like, yeah, the overall, like, how it connects to the MCU might be rough, but just as a show, I really liked it. They're saying there's a lot of talk about a Hulk movie, so I'm like, what's this deal with Universal now? Are they able?
See, now I don't know if they were just doing that to fuck with us with the Kevin bot. That's gonna get confusing.
Nobody's like Disney has said nothing about an Incredible Hulk movie because they don't own the rights yet. They would have to figure out some stuff.
They don't own the distribution. That's the only thing they don't own.
They can't make them either without Universal.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. It's not just distribution though. It's Universal would have to have a say in how the character was written.
That's why they have a show, not a movie.
Yeah.
Why Hulk has always been in other movies because they can't give him a standalone.
Yeah.
They can call it the Scar movie or the She-Hulk movie, or they can get around it.
Yeah, it would have to be. It's also why Hulk. The reason Hulk feels so sidelined is there are also in film minute requirements where he has to be a secondary character. He's not allowed to have an A plot. He can only have a B plot or lower because it has to do with how he's billed and how many minutes he's on screen and how many lines he speaks. Because if it crosses a certain threshold, it's officially a Hulk movie, even if it's not called, Hulk or whatever. So there is a minute thing within the movies. Marvel had no money at the time, so Universal just was able to make the most fucked up contract in existence, where they got things for dirt cheap because Marvel had no money, and it was Universal buys these or we go bankrupt. Like, I mean, that's why so many of the characters have been sold off so weird, and they had to be getting them back. They're just slowly reacquiring them. Yeah.
But Leon, do you think this ruined the rest of the show for you?
Here's why I'm not going to watch the rest of the show. The way men talk to her is my everyday life. I don't want to watch the show again because the scenes, the early episodes with that dude that was like, we dated, when they didn't date, the dates, all of that, that's just my life existing. I get nasty DMs on Instagram and Twitter every day for no fucking reason.
How come you never tell me their usernames?
Because I don't care. I don't want to give them, it's a lot like what Brooke said when they first found Intelligentsia. It's a lot of just 9 times out of 10, they're not even real people. Or it's some Cheeto fingered kid in his mom's basement in the middle of Wisconsin. So like, I don't care. I just block it and I report it. Or Instagram has a lovely new thing where they just take care of it for you, and now I don't really see them anymore. Like they'll pop up.
Let's not besmirch Cheetos, though. I mean, they're pretty good.
I love a Cheeto. I just couldn't come up with another snack.
It's not Cheetos' fault that sometimes sexists eat them.
Yeah, I love a good Cheeto. Use Oscar Isaac's tip of eating them with chopsticks, partly just because it's funny. It's just, yeah, so like I don't like, even this episode, the intelligentsia scene was very difficult to watch because like that's just what it is to be a person. Like that is, and as a girl, you are trained to not like other women for these reasons that men make up. And like there have been times in my life where I'm like, well, she didn't work for it. Yeah, she did work for it. A man told me she didn't. And when you really look at it, that's not the case. Like, I know Pug didn't mean it when he was like, she only got it through nepotism.
Yeah, Nikki literally told him to say that.
Yeah, exactly. I wrote so many times because I really enjoyed Pug being like, I don't want to go in there. Like, I don't want to be around these people. Like, I don't want to go. And I just like, I really enjoyed it. And I loved that the headphone was comically large. It was coming like down to here out of his ear. And no one else was wearing one.
And it was still supposed to be an AirPod. It wasn't supposed to be a Bluetooth headphone.
Yeah.
It's just so funny. And I just also at a certain point I was like, this is no longer a safe room for Pug to be in, and like he needs to leave. But when the little one was like,
Todd?
What?
Todd?
Yeah, thank you. All I could think of was Tony. Yeah, when Todd was like, I knew we were like each other, I was like, Pug is nothing like you. Pug is nothing like you. How dare you?
Keep Pug's name
truly
mouth.
I love Pug so much. He brings me such joy. Yeah, I don't want to rewatch it just because I don't want to listen to it. Like, and I'm not shaming them. I'm not shaming them for putting it in it. Like, they were trying to be very honest in how they portrayed it, and that's totally cool. I just don't want to hear it because it's.
Go ahead.
It's upsetting, and like I wanted them to go further with when they put the inhibitor cuff on her. I was like, oh, like we're going there, like we're going for it, because that's just like what being a female is. Like, it's exactly what she said in the first episode, and it's how they show with the inhibitor cuff that like you don't get to be angry. If that happened to you and you freaked out on stage because somebody leaked your sex tape, nobody would give a shit. No one would be mad that you hit someone. And I'm talking about us physically as humans. I'm not going into the whole Hulk aspect of it. I'm just going into like us as human beings. If you were on stage receiving an award and the screen behind you was hijacked and revenge porn was played and you freaked out and tore things down and destroyed the screen, no one would give a shit. No one would care. Jordan, maybe with you they would care, but that's for different reasons. For you, they may care, but that's different.
I am just destroying the screen so my parents don't have to see that. And then I'm finding the person who did it, because to quote John Mulaney, anybody who's seen my dick and met my parents needs to die.
And like you got your own things on why people may not respond well to you doing it, but like that's different.
What's that supposed to mean?
White people tend to not like it when people they view as people of color get violent.
Fair. Yeah. I thought you meant they were going to care more about the sex tape, not care about me hitting them.
No.
That is the part I thought you were like, they care about you. I'd be like, yeah, my parents would really hate to see that.
That's why I got confused when you brought up your parents.
No, okay, I get it now. Yes. People don't want to, yes.
Sir, you are brown. When brown men get violent, people tend to not respond well to it. Like, come on. You know this. This is why you don't like DSA, and you call them all sir and ma'am. Like, you get it.
Did Victoria tell you that I had to get diddled on the way into John Wayne?
No.
Yeah.
They pulled you aside? It's because we're in Orange County. Oh, fucking Orange County.
I'll tell you more about it off camera because
Oh,
there's a
yeah,
few
we'll
things
talk
I
about
don't
that
want
off
to say.
camera. That's fine.
But I think you not wanting to watch it for that reason is very fair because, like, obviously I can't relate to sexism, but I could relate to other forms of discrimination. And I think that there is a level of honesty that is okay for some media to have if you want to show it accurately. But I also get not necessarily wanting to see that. And go back to the first episode, those two contradicting ideas are allowed to exist. We can have stories about these horrible, truthful things that do happen and have happened, but you shouldn't have to object yourself to watching them if that's something that's too much.
Unbelievable on Netflix with Caitlin Denver. Fucking phenomenal show. One of the best shows I've ever watched in my life. I will never watch it again. I cannot sit through it. Not because it's bad. It's just I cannot listen to defense lawyers rip this girl who had been sexually assaulted apart. Like, I just can't do it because it's like, oh, this is life.
Understood.
But yeah, if I did that though, if I just raised my voice about it, that would be the focus. Not that revenge porn got put out. Like, and everybody loves to be all like kumbaya and everybody doesn't like revenge porn and nobody shame. They absolutely still shame women for nudes being leaked. Like, think about any big sex thing. The girl is literally always blamed. There are still people to this day who think Monica Lewinsky was the bad guy and that Bill Clinton only got in trouble for cheating. Like, yeah, I learned that this week, that there are people that still exist that think that the reason Bill Clinton was impeached was because he was cheating. That was not the issue that they had. They were all cheating. And the issue was it was with an intern.
Well, technically, the real issue is that he lied under oath as far as the impeachment goes, but that's bullshit.
That's also true, and like not for nothing.
That's bullshit, but that's separate. That is separate from.
I do appreciate all of the jokes that like you hear in media from that period of time where they're like, since when is oral sex not sex? And people will be like, since Bill Clinton said it on the news. I do really enjoy that because the splitting hairs of I did not have sexual intercourse with that woman, oral sex is not sexual intercourse, is so goddamn funny to me. That is on record of a president of the United States saying that on the floor of Congress. That is objectively fucking hilarious. Like, objectively, that is so funny. Oh, God.
Okay, but I guess since I get understanding the reasons you don't want to rewatch it, do you feel like this finale makes you think, oh wow, this show was trash the whole time, or do you still think it was fairly okay? You liked the episodes we got for the most part. You know, we got Meg the Stallion, we got Madison. Like there was positives here.
Love Madison. Madison's great. This is nothing against Meg the Stallion. I just don't listen to her music. She's lovely. Everything I've heard about her, she sounds like a great person and a very confident woman. I just like that cameo meant if they hadn't said it, I wouldn't have known who that was.
Right.
This is right up there with when my friend went today at work went, why don't you use Cuff Me since it's so popular on TikTok? And I went, I don't know what that is. And he had to explain to me that Beyonce has a new album out. I don't know why. I exist in a very tiny pocket of music on Spotify and like I hear nothing else.
I'm the same way. I'm very much the same way.
Especially now that Victoria showed me that like mood ring playlist that changes every 3 hours to like a different thing and it's a mix of music you listen to and new music. Like that's all I do. Like that's whatever's in my Spotify release radar and like my daily mixes and stuff, that's all I really listen to. And nothing against them. I think the music Beyonce makes is great. What I've heard of Megan Thee Stallion is very well done, like very well put together. I just don't really like rap music. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like, so that cameo meant nothing to me except that she's a very pretty woman. Like, and she looked great in that pink suit they put her in. Like, she looked phenomenal and it was funny.
She made her rounds on the internet again this past weekend at TwitchCon.
Oh yeah,
she was grinding on Master Chief.
Yeah,
I don't know who I'm more jealous of. I'm not gonna lie.
Really quick, it is Saturday evening. Jordan, me, Victoria, and one of my other friends are all out at a bar. We're sitting at the table. We are all hammered. We've done shots at this point. We've been drinking for a couple of hours. And Jordan looks up and goes, I'm having a separate conversation with somebody. And all of a sudden, Jordan, who is right here, looks up and goes, in my ear, Megan Thee Stallion is twerking on Master Chief.
Because if you told me that if you told me
And
that
then
before I
repeated,
saw the video,
I don't know who I'm more jealous of, Master Chief or Megan the Stallion, which I didn't ask at the time because I wanted to get back to my other conversation. But I not. Do you have a crush on Master Chief?
he's just a gaming icon, you know. Like
Oh,
it's like I'm hitting it for the clout.
You don't
Master
sleep with
Chief.
people. Don't sleep with people for the clout. Never sleep with people for the clout. You will wake up feeling bad about yourself the next morning.
Oh, Rich.
No, because they're gonna make you sign an NDA. You're not getting money.
I mean, if you're like a real relationship.
Oh yeah, but like I was assuming Megan the Stallion and Master Chief are not in a relationship. Like I'm assuming it's the same situation. I didn't know if it was like you had a and I said this to the other person later on, where I was like, I don't know if Jordan has a crush on the actor who plays him in the show, or like, because I don't think they've shown his face in the video games, and like
Nope.
I'm very confused.
Just saying,
Yeah,
it sounded like a Mad Lib until you showed me the video. Like, if nobody had shown me the video, I would have been like, "You're making this up."
it was very fun. It just I was very confused by I don't know who I'm more jealous of, because I feel like the answer in everybody's case should just be Master Chief. Like, I feel like that's just the universal answer.
I'll tell you the person I'm really jealous of is the guy inside the suit, because he gets a cool Master Chief suit and he gets to grind on Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah, but he can't feel any of that.
That's also fair. He's literally
he is probably there is probably a good like at least inch of foam between her and his body.
there's an inch of foam, there's his underwear, and then there's the armor.
Yeah, so like realistically, he could not feel
Anything.
a second of that, which is probably part of the reason that they agreed to it, is because like it physically cannot be sexual because no one can feel anything.
Then did you have more to say about the feminism stuff?
Yeah, dude, I do. I'm really, really disappointed in the women who wrote this show. They could not decide. It almost felt like at times that they were afraid of going too far and offending the male fans of the show, of Marvel. And like, I've always said this to Jordan, and I've said it privately before, and I'll say it publicly. I don't care that like the guys in shared screens, all of you are great when it comes to like that kind of stuff. Like the shit that gets said in the show, you would never say like about any.
I feel like we'd
and it's
all
not
be
just
pug
like
in that situation. We would need
Yeah.
somebody to tell us what to say.
It's not just like oh, I don't say this in public, but behind closed doors I think it. Like I've known you guys for a very long time. I'm aware of your feelings, and I am aware that I am a little spoiled in who I interact with, because most of the Kind of Funny community is similar. They don't feel that way about women. They don't mind women being in the space. However, I do think the majority of male Marvel fans, at least the loudest majority, again, I will say that I don't, like, I am aware that in most cases there is a true silent majority that just, like, doesn't feel that way, but's not talking about it. The loudest fans, though, do hate this phase because it's all women and people of color. Marvel wants to sit there and pretend that Kevin Feige hasn't said disgusting things about women, that Stan Lee, who I give a little more of a pass because he was born in the olden times when, like, women were property. It's not an excuse, but, like, I have to give him a little bit of a pass. Has said disgusting things about women. It is at the core of comics. And anybody who tries to say that it's not is lying. It is very gatekeeping. I still get asked. Jordan can attest to this. I don't go into comic book shops alone because I get harassed. And I get quizzed on things before I'm allowed to buy them. And it's fucked up. I didn't get into gaming until this year because I just did not want to be a girl who said anything, especially because, like, I admittedly suck. I'm bad at them. I have not figured it out. I'm just not good at them. I don't want to put myself into that situation. It felt like the show, in the beginning, they weren't worried about who they were going to offend. And then as the show went on, it almost felt like there was a line that they didn't want to cross. And I feel like it suffered because of it. That entire room of men, Pug notwithstanding and Abomination notwithstanding, Because Abomination apparently truly just had no idea what was going on.
Abomination was there for the paycheck, and you know what? Like, I get.
And honestly, I talked a lot of shit about them when I met them, but Emil and his little boys, which I don't know why I didn't write boys, I wrote guys. I wrote Emil and his little guys are my favorite characters of this entire show. I honestly think that was one of the best part of the shows, was that they had an entire thing that was just about men, like, learning how to get in touch with their emotions and not be violent people anymore, and they were delightful. Nikki posting that video is not okay. It's not funny. It's not okay for the situation she posted it in. It's not cool. It is not cool that she did that without telling Jen. You could, if there was a 1-second post where they had a conversation about her posting that video, I wouldn't.
She's like, "Hey, I have this plan. We're gonna infiltrate.
What if we do it?" And Jen was like, "Yeah, cool. That's fine. I'd be cool with it. I wouldn't care." Posting it, I don't give a shit who you are. Posting a video of your friend in any state of disrobedness, whale tail included, without their consent is fucked up. It's not okay. You cannot do that without their consent.
Yeah, I feel like they could have just made it like, and I know Reddit doesn't have chat rooms, but you don't have to be accurate. Go inside a chat room, trace a person's IP like that, or just find like a stock image of She-Hulk from the news and talk shit.
There is a scene where they put a phone on top of another phone, and that was enough to copy the entire phone's hardware and software. We did not need it just to be her posting it. Like, that did not have to be the only way they could find out what was going on. There are other ways they could find out what was going on. What?
You know what I think would have been a better way to do
Making
that?
Pug do it, not post the video. That also would have been fucked up. Making Pug make a fake account and just talk to people, I feel like was the simpler answer.
I think a good way to do it would be find a video of her that's not anything inappropriate. Because remember when a video of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez just dancing on the roof of her dorm at Boston College, nobody's undressed, nobody's grinding, not saying those things would matter, but literally nothing inappropriate is happening in that video, and people still talk shit about her because she's very left-wing and a woman of color. I feel like they could have made the video more like that rather than she has a whale tail on, because those shitty guys would have said the same comments of, "Oh, she wasn't studying in law school. She must have slept her way to the top, blah, 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 blah."
If you would just put a video of her dancing at the bar,
yes,
like just a video of her drunk with her friends dancing at the bar.
Yes, a video that you know she wouldn't be against because she is not doing anything private. She is not undressed in any way.
Yeah, because it's
Also, why does her mom have that video?
I have no idea. That is also weird. I texted my mother and was like, if you somehow got your hands on this, would you keep it? And she was like, ew, no, what is wrong with you? I was like, yeah, it's weird. Stop texting me Midnight Club spoilers. I haven't watched it yet. But yeah, it's just, it could not decide, because Todd should not have been the only one in that room getting arrested. They all should have been getting arrested.
Especially because they erased the blood plot line. What was he specifically getting arrested for?
Revenge porn.
But like you're saying, that should have been
Should have been all of them. Yeah.
We also should have seen Josh there.
Also, really quick, for a second, when he started to turn green and it made the cracking noise, I thought all of his bones were breaking, a la Stranger Things, and was like, I cannot have two media things do this to me in 1 year. You have to pick. I really thought Todd's spine was going to snap, and for a moment was terrified.
Did you think that they were going to do what they did in What If and just have him inflate to the point that he bursts?
No, I truly just thought his spine was going to break. Also, I don't understand. Does Bruce just have a lot of issues and that's why he turned into a raging green monster? Because I don't trust these morons to be able to sidetrack that.
No, I think it's that he got a lesser dose of a lesser dose.
Well, they said that they synthesized it too, so they wouldn't have any of the bad reactions. I'm just saying I don't trust that science. That's why, like, when Justin Hammer was like, nah, our suits are totally safe, and then they play that video of that man's spine being snapped. Like, I'm sorry, I do not trust these men off the internet.
It's just that, like, Bruce literally got hit with the gamma rays. Jen got a blood transfusion. and he got
Making
stolen,
a blood
synthesized the
transfusion,
blood.
his blood poured.
Went into
Okay,
her.
this was my other issue that I never brought up. It was weird to me that they didn't make it a blood transfusion when they really set it up to be very easy to be a blood transfusion, and instead they were like their blood just like commingled.
No, because they're just like if that small amount of blood getting into her blood gave her this level of powers, I think a blood transfusion would have turned her into a real fucking Hulk. Like, sorry,
Hey.
would have
I was
turned her
gonna
into
say-
the same type of Hulk as Bruce.
Well, Bruce did say in, what was it, the first episode, that it was something in their DNA that lets them able to.
Well, her DNA, not his, that she can metabolize it better.
Because, I mean, in the comics, it's literally just that she's a woman. It's something I greatly appreciate in Marvel Comics because, like, when I started reading She-Hulk a few years ago, I was like, oh, no, it's literally just
in the
that like,
comics,
women are
isn't
smarter.
she? In the comics, is she not in Hulk form all the time?
No. I mean, she chooses to be in Hulk form for, like, 99% of the time, but, like, it's a choice. It's not, you know.
Okay.
It's not like a Bruce, I'm being forced into this state. She can, right from the beginning, control when she transforms.
Gotcha.
Like, all of that. And, like, it did not have feminist startings when they introduced the character. It was more that women weren't violent. So, like, she was a Hulk, but she was a dainty Hulk.
I just remembered I had to look something up before this episode. You guys keep talking.
Is it the title?
No, I said that. I'm trying to figure out if the beginning of this episode was a recreation of the Lou Ferrigno intro to the Hulk show.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
That's what it was?
think
Okay.
so.
I figured it was, but I wanted to check it.
Also, who had that was how that scene from the 70s from the trailer was going to come into the show? Not me. Not me, friends. Because part of me was like, why is Bruce here? Like, just standing. I didn't understand why he was there. But yeah, and it's just they opened up such a great door with it's the same thing. My whole thing with how the feminism is treated in the show and the wishy-washiness, it's the same thing as everything else. They can't make a choice. They had a bunch of really great what ended up being throwaway lines to Titania about like how she ended up the way she is.
Titania fucking went nowhere.
Yeah, and that we had that really great line of that she had to work for it. And that was a very interesting, like, I wanted to see more of that. I wanted to see where they went with that because I really thought it was going to be like, not like the Red Room, but like similar energy of like, you know.
Yeah.
People get powers and fucked up. It's usually somebody torturing somebody else. And they didn't do any of that. And then she just knew Daredevil's name, which I didn't understand.
She was breaking the fourth wall, and she had that ability.
But she wasn't breaking the fourth wall. Like, she fundamentally was not breaking the fourth wall. She is just talking.
Yeah.
And I love Jamil, but, like, it just felt very wasted. Blonsky, the whole thing with Wong was stupid as fuck. Don't call yourself peak television. Never believe your own hype. That is where you start.
Also,
it's where cults start to go wrong. It's where content groups start to go wrong. It's where movies start. Never believe your own hype.
It also is weird to see them break the fourth wall and not Jen.
Yeah, especially when it had been so consistently Jen. Yeah, so it was just a lot of like, and like, why did they make her aunt want to cheat on her husband to be with Daredevil? Like, that was
Charlie
weird.
Cox?
He's a good looking dude.
Yeah, I'm aware, but like, it's still weird because it's that stereotype of like this like slutty wine aunt that wears too much makeup and is a bottle blonde. Like, it just felt like they were trying to circumvent stereotypes and didn't know how to do it while also being afraid of offending people. And so they just ended up in this weird limbo. It's the same thing that I talked about with the episode of Emil. Hang on one second because I'll forget this thought. With Emil's therapy, where they're all going after her. The double texting is like the worst thing she could possibly do. And that they act like she's overreacting to wanting to murder the man that attacked her in the middle of the night. Like, no, if a man attacked me in the middle of the night and tried to stab me with a needle, there is not enough. I do not trust Emil Blonsky enough to feel safe in that situation. I don't give a shit if I'm the She-Hulk because, like, everybody else here, what if they're just like him? What if I got played by Emil? Like, and I'm fine with her not dealing with Todd as She-Hulk as much as I wanted to see her, like, wreck him. I get it. I get just being like, I'm going to be the bigger person. I'm going to handle this in court. Like, I get it. I would have liked to see her wreck a few more people. but like, whatever. And the fact that, like, I'm not saying she needed to be in a relationship, I don't care, but I wish she had gotten there because they gave us so much of her being this insecure. And that's the other issue I had, is she was like really insecure about her dating life, and there would be scenes where she was like kind of crossing the line into like needs to be in a relationship to feel value in herself. And that, like, there were just like a lot of middle grounds where it felt like they couldn't decide what to do. I feel like Alec is disassociating. Which I get it. It's been a long
pay
day.
attention.
But yeah, it's just
Like, it's very important for us men to listen.
Okay, don't say it like that.
Okay.
Don't say it like you're making fun of it.
No, I've been paying attention.
But yeah, it's just there's just you were looking into the camera, and I don't know if it froze or whatever, but there was like a glitch for a second, and it truly just looked like you disassociated. Which work's been rough for everybody lately. So like there are like 6 planets in retrograde right now. Not that I believe in any of that bullshit, but like there are like 6 planets in retrograde. But yeah, it just like I wish they had just picked what they were going to be. Are you going to be like this, you know? I don't know. In the beginning I was excited because it felt like Marvel was taking a stance on being like, we don't want people who don't like these characters just because they're women and people of color in our fandom. And there were parts that I just felt like they were afraid to make that stance.
Gotcha.
And I mean, that's the very real thing of being a comic fan when you're not a cisgender man, is like, you kind of just have to accept the 2 major companies are never going to make that stance. Like, DC can do whatever pride crap it wants to do. Marvel can do whatever pride crap it wants to do once a year, where it has people vote on what queer story they're going to be given the benefit of being able to read. They're never going to take a stance on it, and it's a bummer to be reminded that there's never going to be a strong stance.
No, I definitely get what you're saying. With her not wrecking Todd into the fucking ground thing, that I feel like it's two-pronged, where one, it's every person has their own version of justice for themselves, and I also think that Marvel was like, hey, we also don't want fucking Fox News to be like, Marvel supports beating Republicans, because you know they would have fucking stretched it.
But they're going to do it regardless. But that's my issue. I hate that argument, especially now. They're going to do it regardless. Like, they are going to say that shit regardless because it gets their base angry. It makes the type of, I'm not even just going to say man, I'm just going to say person, because there are women who believe that women are less than, which is always something I cannot wrap my head around. But the biggest person who fought against the Equal Rights Act was a woman, which is, you know, its own thing. You have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror however you need to do that. Like, cool.
Maybe she really just didn't, she was really happy like not being the breadwinner, and she was like, no, we can stay home all day.
It's fucked up. She did a lot of fucked up shit. But it's just that fan base, that base of people are going to get mad regardless. They are going to be mad when New World Order comes out and there is a black cap front and center. They are going to be mad when Miss Marvel is in something that's not a Disney Plus show they could miss. They were already mad about it. Forever, from now on until like there is great change or whatever, Tucker Carlson is always going to go on and talk about whatever Disney is doing that like can possibly be seen as attacking the white cisgender base that they have. And that's what they do. They just rile them up and tell them that people are coming to take your kids and take your guns and force your daughter to become a boy and like all of this shit, because it makes people mad. It's just fear-mongering. They're gonna do it whether you give it to them or not. So just fucking do it. Write whatever you want. Go there. Offend people. They're gonna be offended regardless. So why are you bothering trying to please a base that is never going to agree with you anyway? I get wanting to be like, let's get them to like change and turn the other cheek. There are some people that never will, because it is generations of ingrained sexism that is never going to go away. because also people don't like to admit that they're wrong and don't like to, bless you, don't like to admit that in being wrong, they've done something that has hurt somebody else. So they are just going to buckle down that they are right. Like, it just kind of is what it is. And it just, like, I don't know. It was a bummer to see a show that was led by women and by a woman who seemed to really want to go there and was acting like the show went there, and have it not fully fit that.
No, I definitely understand what you're saying.
And I'm not saying it had to be there. It doesn't need to be. If that's not the story you want to tell, that's not the story you want to tell, and I'm not going to shame it. And if that's the case, then I think it's gross that Disney leans so heavily on it for the marketing.
Right, and like to start off that way, like you had been mentioning, and then just let it fall flat on its face by the end.
Yeah.
It's just like
And
you literally let MC or the Marvel Studios just, I'm assuming, take the lead on and not do what you set out to do.
And it's been a lot of things over the past couple of years that, like, I'm not going to say that I'm not a Marvels fan, because clearly I'm here and I'm getting angry about it, so I am. But, you know, there was a stupid poll on Twitter about who the worst Chris in Hollywood was, and Chris Pratt lost, and Marvel Studios came out in droves to support him. The girl who plays Tessa Thompson and fucking Brie Larson and Zoe Saldana get death threats because they dare just be a woman on screen playing a female character, and Disney says nothing. And it just kind of like, look what happened at Comic-Con, or not Comic-Con, D23 the other week, where like our reporter was like, well, do you want to come back? And Brie Larson was like, I don't know, like, do people want me? Like, I don't know, like, and people crucified her for it. And I get it. She is angry in that shot, and she should be. Like, she should be mad. People don't want to see the Marvels because it's led by 3 women, 2 of whom are of color, and it's being directed by a woman of color. Like, the movie is going to get review bombed, and everybody knows it a year before it comes out, because that's She-Hulk is getting review bombed. Tatiana, the lead actress, is getting death threats. Like, I'm just really at a point where it's like, you have to take a stance. I don't give a shit. Like, we are getting into that, like, silence is compliance thing. You need to make a choice. And I don't blame Marvel employees as a whole, because, like, I remember going to Comic-Con in New York in 2019, and there being Marvel employees who were like, the future of Marvel is diverse and great and has queer people and women and people of color and is going to tell diverse stories. And if you're not on board with that train, get off. And it was awesome. And I would love to see Kevin Feige apologize for one thing. Like, he said some really fucked up shit about women back in 2012, and just is like, well, I've made great movies and everybody seems to forget what I said, so, like, who gives a shit? I would love to see Jeremy Renner be kicked out of the MCU for all the fucked up crap that he said, but, like, it's just never gonna happen. And it would just, like, it sucked that it felt like there was going to be a project with that catharsis, and they started out that way, and it just, like, fell off again, and it's just really a bummer. Yeah. That's my soapbox.
We're very happy you stood on it.
It's been a rough couple of months for women, and I just have a lot of that rage built up inside me right now because it's been a rough couple of months.
No, it's fine, and I'm happy that we had this discussion. Any other thoughts, Brett and Alec? I know you guys didn't get to talk too much. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I've got to say what I wanted to.
Yeah, when's the next Marvel show? Is it Secret Invasion?
Not for a
I
minute.
think so. And yeah, I don't think we know when it is. Although I'm
Yeah,
going to
we
be
don't got-
honest. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say we got Wakanda Forever in the
In
month.
Yeah.
And then
Come on,
Ant-Man in
tickets.
February.
Did they just move more dates, or am I getting confused?
They did. I saw that on the
did.
plane the other day. Basically what happened is Blade got pushed a year, and then everything else got pushed to the next.
Slot.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
sorry.
Mark Cap 4 and Thunderbolts did not get moved, but
Okay.
Fantastic
Blade,
Four,
Deadpool
Secret
3 got
Avenger,
moved,
Secret
Fantastic
Wars.
4 got moved, Blade got moved.
And both the Avengers movies got moved.
Okay.
I thought
Oh,
only
so
one of
it's
them
good.
did.
Yeah, just Secret Wars.
Yeah. Just the second one.
No, I saw both of them got pushed. Because
You also, I love you, but you also thought the costume designer's name was Alfonso.
no, but
I
I
didn't see
really
anything about
sorry
Kang
on this
Dynasty. I
episode.
just
I
saw-
trust
All
Brett.
that matters is Cat
Like-
4 and Thunderbolts are right next to each other.
Which did you see
still.
the rumors? Did you see the rumor?
No.
Harrison Ford
Yeah.
going to be
I
rumored to
did
play
see that.
Thunderbolt Ross.
Dude, Wyatt Russell versus Harrison Ford. It's gonna be a treat.
Hey, that's not fair. Harrison Ford is like 90 something.
He's not that old, but yeah, he's
Yeah,
getting
gonna
up
be
there.
a little bit
He's
of a
like
Marvel
80
break
something.
for shows.
Yeah.
I just think it's so funny that Harrison Ford talks so much shit about franchises when he was young and full of
He
It's not
wanted,
that-
it, he
it's not
wanted
that
to
he
be
doesn't
on a
talk shit about
project with Wyatt
franchises.
Russell.
He
So-
just doesn't like being in Star Wars. He loves Indiana Jones. He was crying, being like, "I'll never do another
No,
one. This is
he used
final."
to talk shit about Indiana Jones too. He used to. There was a period of time where Harrison Ford was afraid he
We've been
was
going
not
an hour
going
and
to
a
be
half.
taken
Let's
seriously.
end this episode if we're going to start talking other stuff.
What? Yeah.
right.
Were you looking up whether? Are we ending on whether or not they moved both movies? I really am inclined to believe Brett and Alec here, and it's just because you truly thought this man was Alfonso to the point that you convinced me his name was Alfonso.
Well, you know what? A bunch of stuff got moved, but it's okay because no matter when Marvel stuff airs, we will always be here to discuss it, spoilers and whatnot. Catch us for the Wakanda Forever spoiler cast next month. Catch us do other media clubs on an assortment of topics and shows in the meantime. No
Watch
matter what it
Andor.
is. Watch Endor, watch This Is the
Yeah.
Waypoint. And
Thank you. I meant to promote This Is the Waypoint, not Andor.
I mean, still
Andor
watch
has a
Andor
good
because
mark.
also. Andor's
Yeah,
awesome.
still watch Endor there. But also don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.